The Galactic Council chamber floated in the void between stars, a massive structure of crystalline metal that housed representatives from 300 species. Ambassador Thelax of the Corvan Empire stood at the central podium, his 4 arms gesturing with practiced authority. His scales shimmered under the artificial light as he addressed the assembled delegates. "We have detected a new species," Thelax announced. "They call themselves humans. From a small blue planet in the outer rim. Preliminary scans show they are fragile. No natural armor. No claws. No venom. They cannot even survive in most atmospheric conditions without assistance." Laughter rippled through the chamber. The insectoid Zephyr clicked their mandibles in amusement. The gaseous Velcara pulsed with colors that indicated mockery. Even the peaceful Lumina dimmed their bioluminescence in what passed for their species as amusement. "They have barely left their own star system," Thelax continued. "Their technology is primitive. They still use chemical propulsion. Their weapons are crude projectiles and explosive devices. They wage war among themselves constantly, unable to unite even their own kind." High Counselor Mordak, a towering being of pure energy contained in an ancient suit of armor, leaned forward. "Then why bring them before this council?" "Because," Thelax said slowly, "they have requested membership. They wish to join our alliance. They believe they have something to offer." More laughter. The Corvan ambassador's expression showed clear disdain. "I propose we grant them observer status. Let them watch from the shadows. Perhaps in 10,000 cycles, they will evolve into something worthy of our attention." The council voted. 300 species agreed. Humanity would be allowed to watch, nothing more. They would have no voice, no vote, no protection under galactic law. They were deemed too primitive, too weak, too insignificant. On the human observation ship Endeavour, Captain Sarah Chen watched the vote with steady eyes. Around her, the bridge crew sat silent. They had expected this outcome, but it still stung. Behind her stood Admiral Marcus Webb, a man whose weathered face had seen 3 wars on Earth. "They think we're nothing," Lieutenant Rodriguez muttered. "Good," Admiral Webb said quietly. "Let them think that." Captain Chen turned to face him. "Sir?" Webb's eyes remained fixed on the council chamber display. "In war, the greatest advantage is being underestimated. These species have been at peace for millennia. They've forgotten what it means to fight for survival. We haven't." 3 months later, everything changed. The Krexer, a predatory species from the dark regions beyond Council space, launched a coordinated attack. They had been building their forces in secret, and now they struck like a hammer. 12 Council worlds fell in the first week. Their inhabitants were harvested for genetic material or enslaved. The Krexer were nightmares made flesh. 8 feet tall, covered in bony plates that could deflect energy weapons, with strength that could tear steel. They had evolved on a death world where only the strongest survived. They had no interest in diplomacy or peace. They wanted conquest. The Council scrambled to respond. They sent their defense fleets, proud armadas that had maintained peace through deterrence alone for thousands of years. The Corvan Empire deployed 50 warships, each 1 kilometer long, bristling with plasma cannons and shield generators. The battle lasted 4 hours. The Krexer destroyed 49 of the 50 ships. The last one escaped only because the Krexer stopped pursuing to claim their prizes. Panic spread through Council space. Species that had never known fear suddenly understood terror. The Krexer were unstoppable. Their armor shrugged off energy weapons. Their ships moved faster than Council vessels. Their tactics were brutal and efficient. Ambassador Thelax stood before the Council again, his scales now dull with stress. "We must evacuate the outer colonies. Pull back to defended positions. We need time to develop new weapons." "That will take years," Mordak said. "Entire worlds will fall. Does anyone have an alternative?" Thelax challenged. From the observer's gallery, a voice spoke. "We do." Every head turned. Captain Chin stood at the railing, her small human form dwarfed by the massive aliens around her. Admiral Webb stood beside her, his uniform crisp and perfect. "You have no authority here, human," Thelax said coldly. "No," Chin agreed. "But we have something you need. Experience. We know how to fight. We've been doing it for our entire existence. Your primitive weapons are useless against the Krexer," a Zephyr delegate buzzed. Admiral Webb smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "Who said anything about primitive weapons? We've been studying your technology. We've been learning. And we've been preparing. Give us one chance. One battle. If we fail, you lose nothing. But if we succeed..." He let the words hang in the air. Mordak's ancient armor hummed. What do you want in return? Full membership. A voice in this council. And access to your resources. The council erupted in debate. The debate raged for 3 days. Species that had never disagreed violently now shouted across the council floor. The Lumina argued for giving humanity a chance. The Corvan Empire insisted it was foolish to trust such primitives. The Zephyr abstained, their hive mind unable to reach consensus. Finally, High Counselor Mordak raised one gauntlet hand. Silence fell instantly. The Krexer advanced toward the Helix Nebula colonies. 2 billion souls live there. They will be overrun within 10 days. His voice resonated with ancient authority. Humanity will have their chance. Fail and you will be ejected from council space. Succeed and we will discuss your terms. Admiral Webb nodded once. Give us 3 ships. Volunteers only. No one with families. 3 ships against a Krexer battle fleet? Thelax laughed bitterly. You're sending people to die. We're sending soldiers to fight, Captain Chin corrected. There's a difference. The call went out across human space. Within hours, 60,000 volunteers had applied. Webb selected crews for 3 modified council vessels, refitted with human technology. The ships were smaller than standard warships but faster and more maneuverable. They bristled with weapons that made council engineers nervous. Commander James Kowalski stood on the bridge of the Valiant, one of the 3 human vessels. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency. No panic. No fear. Just focus. Admiral Webb sends his regards, the communications officer reported. He says to make them remember us. Kowalski smiled grimly. Send to all ships. Activate stealth systems. Formation Delta. Let's show them what apex predators look like. The 3 human ships vanished from sensors. They slipped through space like ghosts, using technology that combined council science with human ingenuity. They had shields that bent light, engines that masked thermal signatures, and weapons that the galaxy had never seen before. The Krexer fleet numbered 27 vessels. They hung in space above the first Helix colony like vultures. Their commander, Warclaw Drakthor, watched the planet below with satisfaction. Another world would fall. More slaves to fuel the expansion. Detecting approaching ships, his sensor officer growled. 3 vessels. Small. Unknown configuration. Drakthor's lipless mouth stretched in what might have been a smile. The council sends more victims. Destroy them. The Krexer fleet turned as one. Their massive ships, each bristling with kinetic cannons and boarding craft, moved to engage. They expected easy prey. They were wrong. The Valiant struck first. From 8,000 kilometers away, it fired a weapon the council had declared too dangerous to use. A magnetic accelerator cannon that fired projectiles at a fraction of light speed. No plasma. No energy. Just solid tungsten rods weighing 2 tons each, moving at 30,000 kilometers per second. The first rod struck a Krexer battleship amidships. It punched through the bony armor like it was paper. The kinetic energy transferred into heat and shock. The ship literally tore itself apart from the inside. Atmosphere vented. Secondary explosions rippled through its hull. It broke into 3 pieces and died. 11 seconds. 1 shot. 1 kill. All ships weapons free. Kowalski commanded. The 2 other human vessels opened fire. Railguns barked silently in vacuum. Missiles with primitive chemical propulsion but devastating nuclear warheads streaked across the void. The Krexer had never faced nuclear weapons. Their armor, designed to deflect energy weapons, did nothing against the raw kinetic and thermal force of atomic fire. 3 more Krexer ships died in the opening salvo. The fleet scattered, trying to adapt. Their commanders screamed orders. Return fire. Evasive maneuvers. Find them. But the human ships were already gone, having moved the moment they fired. They slipped through space using tactics born from centuries of submarine warfare on Earth. Fire and relocate. Never stay still. Strike where the enemy isn't looking. They're attempting to triangulate our position, the tactical officer reported. Adjusting formation. Kowalski watched the holographic display. The Krexer were trying to surround them, using their numbers to create a net. It was a good strategy. Against any other enemy it would have worked. Execute Ghost Protocol, Kowalski ordered calmly. The 3 human ships split up. They dove toward the planet, using its gravity well to slingshot around at impossible angles. The Krexer gave chase, their heavier vessels struggling to match the human maneuvers. 1 Krexer cruiser pursued too eagerly. It found itself isolated, separated from its fleet. The human ship Defiance was waiting. It fired a spread of missiles not at the ship but around it. The missiles deployed clouds of reflective chaff, overwhelming the Krexer sensors. Blind, the cruiser never saw the Defiance approach from below. At point-blank range, the human ship fired every rail gun simultaneously into the Krexer's unarmored belly. The cruiser's reactor breached. The explosion was visible from the planet's surface. Drakthor watched his fleet being dismantled. 7 ships destroyed, 3 damaged, and he still couldn't get a solid lock on the human vessels. These creatures fought like nothing he had encountered. No honor, no glory, just ruthless, calculated violence. "Pull back," he roared. "Reform the fleet. We retreat." "Negative," Commander Kowalski's voice cut across open channels. "You came here to hunt. Now you're prey. No retreat. No surrender. This ends here." The Krexer learned what humans meant by total war. Across Council space, 300 species watched the battle in real time. Every military command center, every government assembly, every public viewing hall displayed the same images. The impossible was happening. 3 small ships were destroying a Krexer fleet. In the Corvin Empire's war room, Ambassador Thelax stood motionless. His 4 arms hung limp as he watched the tactical display. "This cannot be happening," he whispered. General Krax, commander of the Corvin military, leaned forward. "Replay that last engagement. Slow it down." The hologram showed the human ship Valiant executing a maneuver that should have been impossible. It dove toward the planet's atmosphere, used the gravity to whip around and came up behind 2 Krexer vessels. At a range of less than 500 meters, it fired what appeared to be metal slugs. Simple, primitive, devastating. The slugs tore through the Krexer armor and kept going, punching clean through both ships. The vessels tumbled apart, atmosphere venting, crews dying in vacuum. The kinetic energy required for that penetration. Krax calculated quickly. They're accelerating projectiles to relativistic speeds. How is that possible with such small power plants? They're not using plasma containment, an engineer realized. They're using magnetic acceleration. No energy waste in heating projectiles. All power goes into velocity. It's elegant. Brutally elegant. On the Lumina homeworld, thousands gathered in the pools of reflection. Their bioluminescent bodies pulsed with colors that represented shock and admiration. Elder Luxera floated at the center, her light dimming and brightening as she processed what she was witnessing. "They fight like the old ones," she communicated through light patterns. "Before the Great Peace, our ancestors fought such wars. We evolved past it. We thought violence on this scale was a sign of primitive consciousness." "Perhaps," another elder replied, "we confused peace with survival capability. These humans have both." In the Zephyr Hive clusters, 1 billion minds connected and debated. The insectoids had evolved perfect cooperation, perfect unity. They believed individuality was weakness. Yet these humans, each one acting independently, fought with coordination that rivaled the hive mind. How do they synchronize without neural linking? The Queen puzzled. Each ship commander makes decisions independently. Yet they move as one. Paradox. Beautiful paradox. Back in the battle, Commander Kowalski wiped sweat from his forehead. The bridge temperature had risen as systems pushed beyond recommended limits. Around him, his crew worked without pause. No one complained. No one faltered. "Krexer are trying to ram us," Tactical reported. 3 ships on intercept course. "They're desperate," Kowalski observed. "Good. Desperate enemies make mistakes. Helm, execute pattern Omega-7. The Valiant spun on its axis and accelerated directly at the approaching Krexer ships. The bridge crew tensed. It looked like a suicide run. At the last possible moment, the human ship fired its dorsal thrusters and slipped between 2 Krexer vessels, missing them by meters. As it passed, the Valiant released a payload that the Council had never seen before. Mines. Simple explosive devices that attached to hulls with magnetic clamps. Old technology. Ancient even. The Krexer ships, unable to stop their momentum, collided with each other. As they struggled to separate, the mines detonated. Not nuclear. Just conventional high explosives placed at precise structural weak points that human engineers had identified from studying captured Krexer armor fragments. The explosions cracked the bony plating. Atmosphere vented. The ships didn't explode spectacularly. They just broke. Pieces drifted apart. The crews, exposed to vacuum, died quickly. Warclaw Drakthor's command ship now stood alone. His fleet was gone. 27 ships reduced to 1 in less than 6 hours. His crew looked to him with fear in their eyes. The Krexer had never known defeat. They were the apex predators of the galaxy. Or so they had believed. Humans, Drakthor spoke into the open channel. I am Warclaw Drakthor, Supreme Commander of the Krexer Armada. You fight well. This is unexpected. Propose terms of surrender. I'm sorry, Commander Kowalski replied. Did you offer terms to the worlds you conquered? Did you show mercy to the billions you enslaved? Silence. I didn't think so. Here are our terms. Your ship is disabled. Your weapons are offline. Your crew will abandon ship and surrender to Council authorities. You will stand trial for your crimes. And if I refuse? Then we add one more wreck to the debris field. Drakthor looked around his bridge. His warriors, bred for combat, engineered for dominance, now cowered. They had seen what human weapons could do. They had watched their invincible fleet burn. We are Krexer, he said finally. We do not surrender. Then you die, Kowalski said simply. Fire. The railgun round took 3 seconds to cross the distance. It struck Drakthor's ship in the command section. The Warclaw died instantly along with his bridge crew. The ship drifted, lifeless, a monument to failed conquest. Aboard the Valiant, someone cheered. Then another. Soon the entire bridge erupted in celebration. Commander Kowalski allowed himself a small smile. Then he opened a channel to Admiral Webb. Admiral, mission accomplished. 0 human casualties. 27 enemy vessels destroyed. The Helix colonies are secure. Across Council space, 300 species sat in stunned silence. The fragile, primitive humans had done the impossible. They had defeated the Krexer. Not through superior technology. Not through numbers. But through tactics, courage, and a willingness to fight with absolute ruthlessness when necessary. High Counselor Mordak's voice resonated across all channels. Humanity has proven itself. The Council will reconvene immediately. We have much to discuss. The galaxy had just learned a critical lesson. Humanity was not to be underestimated. The Council chamber had never been so crowded. Every species sent their highest representatives. The mood was a mixture of awe, fear, and calculation. Admiral Webb and Captain Chin stood at the center, where once they had been relegated to the shadows. High Counselor Mordak spoke first. Humanity has demonstrated combat capabilities that exceed our expectations by several magnitudes. The question before us is simple. What place will you claim in this council? Ambassador Thelax rose, his scales now showing colors of respect rather than mockery. The Corvan Empire wishes to formally apologize for our initial assessment. We were wrong. We propose full council membership and a seat on the military command. Your tactical knowledge is invaluable. Other species voiced agreement. The Lumina offered trade partnerships. The Zephyr proposed cultural exchanges. Suddenly, everyone wanted humanity as an ally. Admiral Webb listened patiently. Then he raised his hand. Thank you for the recognition. But before we discuss membership, I need to understand something. How did the galaxy become so soft? The chamber fell silent. Soft was not a word anyone expected. Explain, Mordak commanded. Webb walked to the central display. You have 300 species, thousands of worlds, populations in the trillions. Yet when the Krexer attacked, you were helpless. Your fleets are designed for deterrence, not warfare. Your weapons prioritize efficiency over lethality. Your tactics assume rational enemies who will surrender when outmatched. He turned to face the assembly. The Krexer didn't care about your rules. They came to conquer. And you had no answer because you've forgotten what real war looks like. You've had peace for so long that you've lost the ability to fight. Peace is our greatest achievement, Elder Luxera protested, her light pulsing with indignation. War is barbarism. War is survival, Captain Chin countered. Peace is what happens when everyone is too afraid to fight. You didn't have peace. You had a ceasefire. The moment someone decided to break it, you were defenseless. Thelax bristled. Are you suggesting we become warmongers like you humans? No, Webb said. I'm suggesting you remember that peace requires strength. You can't negotiate with an enemy that wants you dead. You can't show mercy to those who show none. Humans understand this because we've never stopped fighting. Not each other, not our environment, not the challenges our world throws at us. We evolved on a death world too. Just like the Krexer. The Zephyr Queen's voice buzzed through translators. Earth is classified as a garden world. Abundant water, oxygen atmosphere, moderate temperatures. Webb laughed. It was a harsh sound. A garden world that kills you if you drink the wrong water. where microscopic organisms can end your life in days, where the weather can destroy cities, where predators hunt in packs and ambush from shadows, where humans competed with megafauna, with ice ages, with volcanic eruptions, with plagues. We didn't get to the top of our food chain by being peaceful. We got there by being adaptable, intelligent, and ruthlessly efficient killers when necessary. He pulled up a hologram of Earth. Our world made us hard. Every other species we competed with, we destroyed or domesticated. We turned wolves into pets. We hunted mammoths to extinction. We conquered every environment on our planet. Then we looked up and said, "What's next?" The council members shifted uncomfortably. They were beginning to understand something troubling. Humanity wasn't just another species. They were apex predators who had mastered their world completely before reaching for the stars. Mordak's armor hummed thoughtfully. "Your point is made, Admiral. What do you want from us?" "A partnership," Captain Chin said. "We'll help you rebuild your defenses. We'll teach you how to fight. But in return, we want full access to council technology, full voting rights, and representation on every major committee." "That's everything," Thelax protested. "Yes," Webb agreed. "Because if another threat comes, and it will, we're going to be the ones standing between you and destruction. We deserve a voice in decisions that affect our survival." Before anyone could respond, alarms blared. Red lights bathed the chamber. The main display flickered and showed a terrifying sight. A Krexer armada. Not 27 ships. 300 ships. A full war fleet. "This is Supreme War Leader Krondax," a voice boomed. "You killed my son Drakthor. For this insult, your civilizations will burn. The age of council peace is over. The age of Krexer dominance begins now." Panic erupted. Species shouted over each other. Some called for evacuation. Others demanded immediate defense fleet deployment. Fear filled the chamber like poison. Admiral Webb and Captain Chin stood calm amidst the chaos. Webb caught Mordak's attention. "We can stop them." 3 ships against 300? Mordak's doubt was evident. "No," Chin said. "The entire human fleet. We've been preparing since we first learned about the Krexer. We knew they'd come back with reinforcements. We have 200 ships ready. Newer designs. Better weapons. But we'll need council resources. Manufacturing capacity. Raw materials. And most importantly, we need command authority." The chamber fell silent again. Every eye turned to the humans. "You're asking us to put our entire military under human command," Thelax said slowly. "I'm asking you to let us save your lives," Webb replied. Again. Mordak didn't hesitate. "Granted. Admiral Webb, you are hereby appointed Supreme Commander of Council Defense Forces. All military assets are under your authority. Do not fail us." Webb nodded grimly. "We won't. But when this is over, remember this moment. Remember who stood for you when extinction came calling." The real war was about to begin. The Council Defense Command Center transformed within hours. Human military advisors flooded in, bringing with them concepts that made alien commanders uncomfortable. Words like total war, acceptable losses, and strategic destruction entered the galactic vocabulary. Admiral Webb stood before a holographic display showing the Krexer fleet's approach vector. Around him, military leaders from 20 species watched nervously. They had never seen war on this scale. "The Krexer are making the same mistake we hoped they would," Webb began. "They're coming straight at us. A direct assault on Council Prime, the capital. They think overwhelming force guarantees victory." "It doesn't," asked General Krax of the Corvin forces. "Only if your enemy fights the way you expect them to," Captain Chin answered. She pulled up tactical displays. "The Krexer mentality is simple. They're apex predators. They see prey, they attack. No subtlety. No misdirection. Just raw power. They have 300 warships," Elder Luxera's light pulsed with anxiety. "We have fewer than 500 total, and most are not combat ready." "Numbers don't win wars," Webb said. "Strategy does." Chin briefed them on Operation Gauntlet. Chin activated the display. "The Krexer fleet will arrive at Council Prime in 72 hours. They expect to find our forces defending the planet. A traditional defensive posture. That's not what we're going to do." She manipulated the hologram. "We're going to create a kill box. The approach to Council Prime passes through the Argent Cluster, an asteroid field. That's difficult to navigate. The Krexer will slow down to avoid collisions. That's when we hit them." "With what?" Thelax asked. "Our ships can't match their armor." "We're not using ships," Webb said. "Not primarily. We're weaponizing the asteroid field itself. Human engineers appeared on secondary displays explaining rapidly. They had spent 3 days installing massive engines on the largest asteroids, turning them into kinetic weapons. Each asteroid, maneuverable and armed with simple explosive charges, could be directed into the Krexer formation. This is madness, a Velcara representative pulsed. The energy required is minimal, Shin interrupted. We're not using plasma or energy weapons. Just basic chemical propulsion and explosives. We move big rocks into their path. Let physics do the work. The Zephyr Queen processed this. You're using the oldest weapon known. A thrown rock. Scaled up. Exactly, Webb smiled. Sometimes the oldest tactics are the best. While they're dodging asteroids, our fleet hits them from multiple vectors. We've divided our forces into wolfpack formations. Small, fast attack groups. No capital ships. Just frigates and destroyers with railguns and missiles. He zoomed in on the tactical plan. Each wolfpack targets disabled ships. We don't try to fight fair. We pick off stragglers. Cripple their engines. Force them to choose between helping damaged vessels or pushing forward. They'll push forward, Krax predicted. The Krexer don't value individual lives. They'll sacrifice the weak to maintain momentum. We're counting on it, Chin said darkly. Every ship they abandon is a demoralized crew. Every warrior left behind to die. It erodes their confidence. Their unity. Over the next 3 days the Council watched humanity work. Human efficiency was terrifying. Cargo ships hauled equipment at dangerous speeds. Engineers worked without sleep, sustained by stimulants that would kill most species. Pilots trained in simulations until they could execute maneuvers blindfolded. Commander Kowalski led the largest wolfpack, 20 ships designated Alpha Group. His crew had volunteered for the most dangerous assignment. They would strike first, drawing Krexer attention while other groups maneuvered into position. How are you feeling? Webb asked during a private channel conversation. Like I'm about to die gloriously, Kowalski joked. Then his expression turned serious. Admiral, if this goes wrong? It won't. But if it does, tell my daughter I did this so her generation wouldn't have to. Tell her humanity gave everything to protect the galaxy. Even the species that mocked us. Webb's jaw tightened. You tell her yourself, Commander? That's an order. The Krexer fleet entered the Argent cluster exactly on schedule. Supreme War Leader Krondax stood on his command deck, surrounded by his finest warriors. His ship, the Eternal Conquest, was 3 kilometers of armored death. Behind him, 300 vessels spread across space like a steel plague. Sensors detect movement in the asteroid field, his tactical officer reported. Council ships. Negative. The asteroids themselves are moving. Krondax's eyes narrowed. What? Before anyone could answer, a chunk of rock the size of a mountain slammed into a Krexer battlecruiser at 15 kilometers per second. The impact was apocalyptic. The ship crumpled like paper. Atmosphere vented instantly. The vessel broke into pieces, its crew dead before they could scream. Evasive maneuvers. Krondax roared. What's happening? More asteroids accelerated from the field. Dozens. Hundreds. Each one aimed at a different target. The Krexer fleet scattered, trying to avoid the kinetic bombardment. Ships collided with each other in their panic. Formations broke apart. Now, Admiral Webb commanded from his flagship. All wolfpacks engage. 200 human and council ships dropped out of stealth. They appeared at point-blank range, surrounding the scattered Krexer fleet. Rail guns spoke in unison. Missiles streaked through the void. Nuclear warheads detonated, turning space into a sea of fire. The Krexer found themselves in a nightmare. Enemies everywhere. No clear target. Their powerful weapons useless when they couldn't get a lock. Their armor meaningless against projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. Commander Kowalski's wolfpack tore into the Krexer rear guard. His ships moved like sharks, striking and disappearing before return fire could track them. One of his captains reported a kill. Then another. Then 2 more. This is Alpha Leader, Kowalski transmitted. The prey is wounded. Press the attack. Show no mercy. Krondax watched his fleet die. 50 ships gone in the opening minutes. 70. 100. His warriors, bred for dominance, now knew fear. Pull back, he commanded. Reform the fleet. Negative, Admiral Webb's voice cut through. You're not leaving. You came here to destroy us. Now you understand. Humans don't fight for glory. We fight to win. The gauntlet was closing. The Krexer were trapped. The battle raged for 18 hours. The Argent cluster became a graveyard of shattered ships and broken dreams. Supreme War Leader Krondax's fleet, once 300 strong, was reduced to fewer than 70 vessels. His warriors, legendary for their ferocity, now fought with desperation instead of confidence. Aboard the Valiant, Commander Kowalski coordinated his wolf pack with cold precision. His crew had been in combat for 15 hours straight. Exhaustion showed in their faces, but their hands remained steady. Humans had evolved to hunt prey across vast distances, to track and kill over days if necessary. This was long, but they had endured worse. Alpha 7 is heavily damaged, Tactical reported. Hull breaches on 3 decks. Reactor at 60%. Pull them back, Kowalski ordered. Beta Group, cover their retreat. Alpha 9, you're with me. We're going after that cruiser on Vector 347. The human ships moved like a pack of wolves harrying a wounded beast. They didn't try to match the Krexer's strength. They were faster, more agile, and they worked together with an efficiency that seemed impossible without a hive mind. In the Council Command Center, representatives watched in awe and growing unease. Yes, humanity was winning. But the way they fought, the ruthless efficiency, the complete lack of hesitation when ordering attacks that would kill thousands, it was disturbing. They're like machines, a Velkera observed, colors pulsing with discomfort. No emotion. No pause. Just violence. No, Elder Luxera corrected, her light dimming thoughtfully. They have emotion. Look at their biometric readings. Elevated heart rates. Stress hormones. Fear responses. They feel everything. They just don't let it stop them. Admiral Webb heard the comment through the command channel. He turned to address the council directly. You want to know what makes humans different? It's not that we don't feel fear. It's that we fight anyway. Every species in this galaxy evolved on worlds that were kind to them. Stable climates, abundant resources, predictable threats. He pulled up a display of Earth. We evolved on a world that actively tried to kill us. Ice ages that should have driven us extinct. Predators that hunted us for food. Diseases that wiped out entire populations. Droughts, floods, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. Our planet has a mass extinction event every few million years. We survived all of it. You know how? By being the most adaptable, the most persistent, and the most dangerous species our world ever produced. We learned to plan, to work together, to sacrifice for the group, and when necessary to kill without hesitation or remorse. Captain Chin stepped forward. Every human child grows up learning about existential threats. We teach our young about species extinction, about nuclear war, about climate collapse. We live with the knowledge that we could destroy ourselves at any moment. That knowledge makes us careful, but it also makes us prepared. Aboard the Eternal Conquest, Krondax faced a decision. His fleet was dying. His warriors were demoralized. The humans had predicted every move, countered every tactic. It was as if they understood Krexer psychology better than the Krexer themselves. We need to retreat, his first officer urged. Regroup. Attack another target. No, Krondax growled. We are Krexer. We do not run from prey. They're not prey, the officer shouted, fear finally overwhelming discipline. Look around you. They're killing us. They've been killing us since the moment we entered this system. Krondax struck his officer, sending him sprawling. Coward. I should execute you for. An alarm shrieked. On the main display, a human ship appeared directly ahead, impossibly close. The Valiant. It had somehow slipped through their sensor grid, using a combination of stealth technology and pure audacity. Commander Kowalski's face appeared on screen. War Leader Krondax. This is over. Your fleet is broken. Surrender now and you'll be treated according to Council law. I will never surrender to prey, Krondax snarled. Kowalski's expression didn't change. Then you don't understand what we are. We're not prey. We never were. On Earth we have a saying. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the